Okay, so recently in the VTuber space, there's been quite a bit of drama that I've been covering for the past couple of days. Now, obviously, one of the initial things that happened was the Sinder drama, which, if you guys don't know, there's this whole situation of Sinder going around in the background being a little bit kind of sketchy and just ruining a lot of kind of relationships with her friends and other artists, VTubers, and whatever, and essentially just disappearing off of social media for a little bit. And obviously they put out their apology, which pretty much no one accepted. I mean, it was a pretty terrible apology in general. And then people started to, have different kind of knock-on effects from this. And well, one of the knock-on effects, which I covered in one of my previous videos, was actually merch. Now, obviously, if you don't know, some people were going ahead and actually getting rid of merch. For example, this company here actually got rid of some of the merch they worked with in collaboration. But there's also people who just owned the merch themselves, actually burning the merch, which is kind of crazy, obviously. And, I've obviously talked about that in a full video and my thoughts on it. But it is pretty crazy that that stuff was happening. But one of the other things that happened in regards to merch, is Candle. Now, Candle actually made this thing saying it's just business. A candle inspired by recent furry drama. Smells like a terrible apology, available in store right now. Now, if you don't know, Candle are a pretty big, I'd say, company. I mean, they're not actually that big, to be fair. They got about 2,000 followers on Twitter, but pretty much essentially people were not happy with them at all. They said, I don't really care about the drama, but if this is actually bonfire centered, I might get it, which again is kind of crazy. They say, I'll be honest, this comes off as really icky since the candle isn't supporting the victims at all, trying to profit off real people's pain and boiling it down to drama and trying to make a buck of it. It's gross. Market yourself another way. And obviously, yeah, people are saying this is extremely distasteful and ignorant. They say, I get it, but this ain't it. Do better. I honestly don't feel as though this is appropriate. So I don't know. This feels a bit, iffy. And pretty much all of them are saying that, hey, this just feels a little bit weird, And it definitely does feel a little bit weird because essentially what they're doing is they're trying to profit off a, situation like this. And we know how many people were involved, how many VTubers that were kind of emotionally affected by this. And it just feels really weird whenever you're trying to make a kind of profit off of people's sadness and people's genuine actual things that have been going on in a friendship group, because obviously, yeah, people have been kind of framing this as drama, and I've been framing this as drama, which again is all fine and good whenever it comes to YouTube and things like that. But whenever you actually boil it down, you think that these are actual people who are actually dealing with some real, stuff going on. And it's pretty terrible. And someone just went ahead and made a candle on this and tried to make some money from it, which I just think is completely wrong. Now, obviously, as they said down the replies, if it was to go towards the people that maybe were affected by this, then sure. Then obviously, we could kind of see that. But this is literally just to make a profit and just to try and make a quick bit of money, which is kind of crazy. Now obviously, yeah, they kind of responded to this later on with a post pretty much saying, do you find yourself rage scrolling VTuber Twitter at 3 a.m? Are you sending death threats over a minor controversy? Have you read all of the Google Docs twice? Well, we have a candle for you. We call it Touch Grass for the Extremely Online, available in stores now. So they essentially just doubled down on it, and people are not happy with this either. As you can see, it's got 200,000 views and 160 likes. And the funny part is, they've removed replies, which I think is absolutely hilarious, because if you want to be this edgy kind of candle company or whatever that doesn't really care about what people say and you're going to keep bringing out products to kind of make fun of people, don't you think it's a little bit cowardly just to turn off your replies? I feel like that's super cowardly whenever it comes to this kind of stuff, because again, if you are going to be like that, at least be prepared to face the music whenever it comes to, people getting angry at you in terms, it's just terrible. And obviously, this is an actual candle, by the way. It's being sold for £11 for me, £12 for a spray or whatever. And it seems like they just pretty much come up with everything. I don't know how or what their kind of process is for making those things and how they managed to do it so quickly. But it seems like they're just doubling down on the situation. And yeah, no one is happy with this at all. I mean, there's probably a couple of quote retweets here saying, the rest of the quote replies to this tweet are fascinating. A flood of literal who's screeching about what the VTuber space should or shouldn't be, as if they have any say in it. Hammer, meat, nail, pick very much related. They say, this is so out of touch. Kind of glad I didn't accept the deal whenever we were trying to make with me, lol. Avery 4, bad company 0. So again, it seems like, yeah, they've tried to sponsor some VTubers in the past. And obviously, yeah, it seems like they're trying to profit off a lot of this kind of stuff. And I mean, some people could see that as good marketing, but I see it as, you know, someone doubling down on a pretty terrible situation and not feeling any kind of empathy. You know, you don't want to have this kind of, I guess, rapport whenever it comes to, you know, with your customers. I feel like that's just not good at all. I feel like having this entire kind of persona of, you know, being a little bit edgy and not caring, stuff like that, isn't going to sit right with a lot of people who are ordering the stuff, which could actually more affect sales than actually improve them. Because obviously what they think here is that if they double down, if they, you know, do all of this drama stuff, then they are going to get a couple of sales, which they might do, but they also might lose a couple of long-time customers due to the fact that, you know, they don't really trust them with a lot of the stuff that's going on. They say, what a massive candle L. Please go shower and touch grass yourself, neck beards, which again, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I feel like that is kind of true as well, you know? They're telling everybody else to go touch grass when in actual fact, they're the ones making a candle based off of this situation. None of us are making a candle off this, but they are. And I think that's kind of crazy. They say touch this ratio. They say your reaction to being corrected on a mishap is more important than the fact of making a mishap. They say, you know, get some honor and turn on comments, which, yeah, definitely. They say, I was hoping you'd own up to your mistakes and try your best to make things right. I hope the best for you, but yeah, you burned the yacht, which again, I think that, yeah, people were kind of hoping that Candle would actually make a turnaround and maybe go, okay, guys, we're sorry about that. Or maybe just move on from it in general and just not talk about it. But the fact that they've gone out of their way to go even further with this is what angers the VTuber community even more. And I think that is what's made this, you know, even worse. And I think that, yeah, it's just not a very good situation, is it? Because obviously there's been a ton of other drama in the community, as we've seen with the whole Kershaw stuff as well, which again has been terrible. And there's been even more stuff floating around, and it just makes you think, you know, what is their next target? You know, are they going to make something that's even more, you know, far? Because I know that, you know, it's just business. It's a funny line that people were using from clips, people were using in videos, which isn't too bad. But at the same time, you know, they are targeting a VTuber, and it's just like, what else are they going to do in the future whenever there's more drama, whenever there's more other things that are coming out, and they make a candle on it? Because there could be a similar situation that happens where the person's actually innocent, and then they've all of a sudden made a candle pretty much slandering them, and hey, they might even find themselves in a really big lawsuit, which would be pretty crazy. And, you know, I'm kind of hoping that happens, because then they can kind of see what happens whenever you do stuff like this. But obviously it won't happen with the Sinder situation. As we know, a lot of this stuff has been confirmed. There's been a lot of evidence behind it, but I'm just saying, for future situations that might go on, it's not looking too good. And obviously it seems like this is just going to be the legacy of their candle stuff now. I think before they were just partnering with some VTubers and just doing their own thing, but now I think what they're going to try and do is pivot to a more drama based thing, which, yeah, I know a lot of people in the VTuber community do not like drama at all. I mean, the amount of comments I get on my videos telling me, oh god, not another drama, please make it stop, is crazy. And, you know, it seems like people don't want this to continue, but hey, it seems like Candle have found maybe a couple of sales in this, and they think, okay, well, maybe we can profit even further, which I think is crazy. And obviously it seems like most of the VTuber community thinks it's crazy as well, which is great to see. But yeah, I don't know, just a bit of a weird company in general. And as I said, you know, people have been chucking away their merch, everything like that. Yeah, overall pretty terrible. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this. Do you think that, you know, Candle have the right to make this kind of stuff, or do you think that, you know, it's pretty messed up what they're doing? Because honestly, you know, I don't think they have any legal kind of like thing blocking them from doing it. Like, I feel like, you know, legally they can do it if they really want to, but in terms of just being nice to the audience and, you know, kind of supporting the community and stuff like that, I just don't think it's the play. But hey, you know, maybe you think differently. But yeah, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and also subscribe, go to Game and Subs, use my code CASO, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.